Can we rehearse how to say your name again, Natalie?
Sure. It's Leenders.
Leender.
Leenders?
Almost Leenders.
Leender.
Linders?
That's about as close as I think
Like
you'll
I'm
get it.
leaning ders?
So it's more Leenders.
Leender.
Leenders?
Yeah,
Leender.
but then sort of in the middle. Leenders.
How about I just call you Natalie?
Yeah, that works.
Welcome to Power Platform Connections. On today's episode, we're going to talk with Nathalie Leenders, and we're going to cover all the articles and blogs and videos that you've shared with us over the past week. My name is David Warner. I'm a community program manager with Microsoft, and with me today is...
I'm Hugo Bernier. I'm also a community program manager at Microsoft. And I'm honored today to introduce you to our guest. I met her at the Power Platform Conference where she attended one of our sessions about everyone has an opportunity to speak in the community. And she came to me and she said, you know what, next year I will be at the conference. And she has been working really, really hard. And she's been talking in a lot of conferences and things like that. So it's very exciting to see her today. Natalie, are you here?
I am here. Hey
There
guys.
you are.
Woo!
Thank you
Yeah,
guys so much for
awesome.
having me. Thank you.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
thanks for joining us today. So why don't you take a couple of minutes and introduce yourself to the viewers, and then we'll get into talking a little bit about you.
Sure. So my name's Nathalie Leenders. I'm a former hairdresser, turned to IT about 12 years ago, and I gradually rolled onto the Power Platform. So now I'm a Power Platform developer.
That is very exciting, and that's why we had you on the show today specifically. We wanted to know what you could do for Hugo and I from the hairdressing perspective. So we'll definitely get into that. As our viewers know, we kind of get into a little bit of the personal side of who you are. Where are you from? Why don't you tell everybody where you're from?
I'm from the Netherlands, but I work for a global company. So I've been in touch with everybody globally and also through all of the social medias. But yeah, I'm from a very small country in a very small area of Europe.
All right, very cool. And you're well traveled, though. You had mentioned that your favorite food is Thai, and of course, your most interesting place you've ever visited is Thailand. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about how those two things converge? Was it coincidental?
Well, no, I've been very fortunate to have been able to travel with my parents. And when I was 16, my dad took me on a 24-day trip to Thailand.
Wow.
So yeah, that was amazing. And back then, I actually didn't really like Thai food that much. That came about 10 years later. But it's yeah, shocker. No, I
Yeah, I
just
know.
ate at all of the international restaurants. Just ate steak, and I didn't eat most of the Thai food, mainly because we were a bit careful. But even still, I mean, I now still regret not eating at all of the authentic Thai places over there.
Well, it sounds like you might have another 24-day trip in the future that you could go hit all those places with.
Definitely.
Would be cool. All right. Well, and you mentioned that after a hard day's work, we'll stay in the food theme here because, I mean, we're with Chef Hugo today. It's going to be a recurring theme, I think, in multiple episodes. You like to cook. So do you also cook Thai, or what are some of your favorite things to cook?
I love to cook Thai food, Asian food, anything with garlic and spices and lots of flavor. So anything that when you taste it, like wow, that has a lot of flavors, like a big flavor explosion. That's my type of food.
No, you're my new
Hugo?
best friend. Yep.
Yeah, I knew it was going to weigh in.
At the end of the day, when I've had a long work day, it's just really enjoyable to cook and put in all of the herbs and spices you like, and smelling it and then tasting it, and that's my way to relax and unwind after a long day.
Natalie, as you're cooking, do you ever find that sparks some creativity for you in like a therapeutic way? I know sometimes if I'm blocked, I'll go do something else, maybe go for a drive or enjoy cooking as well. And that kind of frees up your mind, creates a little bit more opportunity for creativity around tech. Do you ever find that is the case for you?
Yeah, I think it's both the combination of cooking dinner and figuring out which herbs and spices to use, and then sometimes a thought just pops into my head, like, wait a minute, that's something I have to try, or my husband will be talking to me and I will be bouncing off ideas off of him whilst I'm cooking. So it helps.
We'll have to figure out what the magical herbs and spices are for the perfect power app, I guess, right?
I was gonna say we'll have to start a side channel just so we can just exchange recipes and stuff.
Now, in terms of like favorite movie or game universe, you had mentioned Harry Potter. So you were at the conference in Orlando last year. Obviously, the party was at Universal. So I'm sure that probably was pretty fun for you, being able to kind of go
Oh
see
yeah.
that Harry Potter world and all that.
Yeah, there was when I found out about the conference, I was so excited, and then I found out about the attendee party and was like, I must go. So I convinced everybody, like, please let me go. It's both Harry Potter and the Power Platform conference. So when the attendee party arrived, I just ran straight through to the Harry Potter area. Like I have to see this.
Yeah, it's nice because it wasn't overly crowded, right? So it was a
Yeah.
nice way to kind of get immersed into everything, which was really cool. Now, you had mentioned that you were a former hairdresser. Now you're a Power Platform developer. That is always fascinating, the career switching path. Tell us a little bit about your path and how that took into the community as well as the technology.
Yeah, so when I first became a hairdresser at the hairdresser school, whenever the PC broke down, I helped out and it seemed to work. So I figured, okay, maybe in the future that's something I could do. And when I graduated, I went to work and within a year figured out I had back issues. So after that, I went to an open, I don't know what the word is in English, but an open day for IT school. And I
Hmm.
figured I would give it a shot. And then 3 years later, I graduated, went to work in IT, and haven't stopped since. So it's been interesting going from being a hairdresser where it's 99% female, going to IT where it's 99% male. It's been an interesting shift, but I have no regrets whatsoever.
But you're pretty good at it, so I applaud that. That's
Mhm.
awesome. It's
Thank
exciting.
you.
So Natalie, I'd love to understand how you got started in the Power Platform itself.
The very first thing I did was I worked with SharePoint Designer, and there was a need within the company to have a forum where people could sign in for a day of voluntary work. And I created a form, I created a workflow behind it, and back then it was InfoPath, and in SharePoint Designer it was the workflow. And after that, I started working on Power BI because I have an ITIL reporting backend. And from there, it just grew. And about 3 years ago, somebody called me like, hey, there's a position open with automation. Do you want to apply? I think you'd be perfect for it. I was like, automation, Power Platform, what is that? And me thinking it was all Power BI, I applied and I got the job. And then I learned the whole Power Platform and Power Automate and Power Apps, and I learned as I did all of the projects. So it's been interesting, but it's been awesome.
That's amazing. And in the introduction, I talked about how you came to see us at the Power Platform conference, and you said next
Yes.
year I'll be here. Can you talk about kind of how that passion got started and what you've been doing since then?
Yeah, of course. So when I went to the Power Platform conference, everything was new. You were all my idols, the biggest persons that I could meet, all of the celebrities. And yes, definitely. But no, it's and I just took a chance. I saw you guys, I saw April Dunham, I saw everybody, and I was like, I have to grab this opportunity and just talk to you and to everybody. And when I did that, I realized that we are all people, we're all persons doing this, and we all have our confidence issues, insecurity issues, or
Hmm.
whichever, not saying
Fears.
fears. And that made me realize that if you guys can do it, or at least everybody else does it, then why not me? And I was like, I just felt so inspired. And then I saw Louis Freeze, who is an absolute rock star. And I was like, well, if she can do it, I can do it. And then I just went for it.
We always joke that if you have faces like Hugo's and I, and you can still succeed, then you know anybody can succeed. So there's always that opportunity. So Natalie, you attended the Power Platform conference last year, and you were very active. It was great to see you come in. As you started getting more involved in speaking, no doubt, I'm sure that you had mentioned that there's fears and nervousness. What allowed you to overcome those fears? And then what advice do you have for others that are looking to kind of follow the same path?
So the first one is with the way that I look, because I have a slightly more edgier look, and people like Michael Ruff, Louis Fries really helped me to see that it's okay, no matter what you look like, you can join the community and all of the calls, and everything's fine. There's no bullies out there. There's not people look looking down on you. And the second one is I have a stutter. And for me, the very first time that I realized it was okay, I was in a community call, I think it was in November, and there was somebody there presenting that also had a stutter. And that really made me realize that it's okay. There's nobody that's gonna talk you down for having a stutter. There's nobody in the chat making mean comments. And it's always with my stutter, it's I just continue talking, and sometimes people don't even notice. So that's kind of how I deal with doing that. And with public speaking as well, if you have an interesting subject, nobody will care if you have a stutter or what you look like. And I think that's the main advice I can give people, is just be confident. It really doesn't matter if you have a lisp or a stutter, or you look a little bit different, or maybe you have a disability, or you're neurodivergent, or whichever. It it's really okay. Just be you.
If I had a heart button right now, I'd be pushing it. So
I totally agree. And it really should be that way for everyone. There should be no gatekeeping or anything like that
Yeah.
in terms of requirements. It's open to everyone. And in fact, I know you know this, but Hugo and I talk a lot about our buddy system to provide support, because sometimes it is nerve-wracking and you might not want to take that leap by yourself to begin with. So having someone that you can kind of partner up with and go at these new frontiers together provides that confidence, like you said, and we all need it, but we all obviously get nervous, and it's okay. I mean, Hugo and I get nervous all the time when we step on stage. Hugo's nervous because he's standing next to me, which is understandable. I'm nervous because I want to do a good job for the attendees, right? And so does
Right.
Hugo, of course, joking aside. And that's okay. If you think, oh, when does the nervousness go away? You kind of don't ever want it to go away. I don't think you want it, because it means that you care. It means that you respect your audience, and so it's important to have that love for your audience to ensure that you want to do a good job for them.
Right. Yeah. And I've also really noticed that there's within the community a lot of uh, assistance from other people. For example, I saw a topic on being introverted and being in the community in sessions, and there are so many people out there giving you tips on how to handle with that while doing public speaking or sessions. And there's so many people out there. I've been really fortunate that Azure McFarland, who was also on the show, has been mentoring me as well. Everybody out there has been so nice and welcoming, and I just hope to be that person for somebody else as well.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. Thank you for sharing that.
hey, I'd love to talk about what sessions you'll be talking about at the Power Platform Conference in October.
Yeah, so one of my sessions is on Teams adaptive cards, and it's on using real life examples on how an adaptive card can actually be used to enhance business needs. For example, you can post Friday afternoon memes if that's your thing. You can post a meme on somebody's birthday, or you can do sales updates. You can do Power BI alerts. You can do weekly call overviews. There's so many opportunities out there, and that's one of the sessions. And my other one is on virtual tables. So I've been doing virtual tables for the past few months, working with it, and I've really gotten to know the limitations and maybe some of the not so known limitations that I've had Microsoft change their documentation on after my findings. So that's also a subject that I'm really working with for almost 40 hours a week, that I'm working with virtual
Wow.
tables. So I figured that's a really good one to share all of my experiences, and also maybe share some tips and tricks that's not in the documentation yet, because I will be definitely uploading that once I have dotted the i's and crossed the t's.
Please do. And that's something I wanted to commend you on is not only you've been active in the community in speaking, you've been also active with, I've seen you submit a lot of sessions where you're co-presenting with other people, and you've been building these partnerships with either people who are well established in the community or newcomers in the community. But you've also been participating at community calls, and you've been communicating with the product groups and helping clarify things on the documentation and things like that. So thank you, because it's a lot of work. All these things together is a lot of work, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's every time I figure out something new during my job, I try and blog about it. I try and put it on Twitter. Just maybe it helps somebody else, or if I'm stuck, I I post a message on Twitter like hashtag community rocks, community love, hashtag power platform, and that's how Yannick Rekman actually helped me last week with an issue that I had with my choice columns with a virtual table SQL backend, and he helped me with it. And I posted a workaround with full credit to him and the other person who did the PCF control. It's all in my blog, but I just want to make sure everybody gets credit as well for helping me and figuring stuff out.
And there's lots of room for credit. It's, the fact that you have an idea or you come up with something doesn't mean that you're taking away from other people's, hard work. And you're always doing really, really well at making sure that everyone gets credit. So thank you again for doing that. David, I wanted to talk about virtual tables for a moment, if you don't mind,
Okay,
because
yeah.
people might not know what virtual tables are about. Natalie, do you want to give us a little
Of course,
introduction
of
on what
course.
virtual tables are?
So a model-driven app only works on a Dataverse backend, unfortunately, right now. So the only way to link to Excel or SharePoint or SQL when you have a model-driven app is to use what's called a virtual entity or virtual table. And what that does is it pulls in the metadata of your SQL, of your SharePoint, and it uses that and it kind of maps it. It wraps it in Dataverse so that your model-driven app is able to read it. So it doesn't migrate fully. So there's a lot of cost saving, no big migration projects needed, but it actually uses the data and it links the data on your SQL or other backends. It has certain limitations, unfortunately, but it is possible then to connect your model-driven app to SQL, Excel, or SharePoint. So that's kind of how a virtual table works with a gateway connection in between, and that's how it does the metadata reading, so to speak.
The other thing I think that's important to understand is that you can use virtual tables with Power Pages as well, because Power Pages will only let you show your Dataverse data. And so this is where this becomes really powerful, is to be able to connect to your legacy system or your system of record somewhere else, right?
I did not know that. Hashtag always learning.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
I'm always plugging Power Pages.
of course.
Oh, and I just want to go back to your blog and say I love that you're embracing just sharing, even if it's a little piece of information, because that, like you said, some people see things at different times. The social networks are moving so fast that something has a lifespan that's very short. They may not have seen the other people that had blogged it on other platforms or whatever the case may be. And Hugo and I always tell new speakers in the community that if you even help just one person, you've done a good thing. And over time, you're guaranteed to help at least one person, as you shared via blogs, via Twitter, via talking virtually at a conference or a user
Right.
group or something like that. So applaud you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's I have an example of I was looking for how to map my with my virtual table, how to do a Boolean column like a toggle in my model-driven app, and I had to search for it for hours on how it actually worked. And the answer was it needs to be a bit column, and it's as simple as that. And I was like, I must blog this. I mean, it took me hours to figure this out. I want to save somebody else's time and just say, hey, here's how to do it. That's it.
Have you yet gone searching for an answer for something and ended up getting your blog show up in the search results and going, oh my God,
I have, yes.
it's always going to happen. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you had an amazing week last week. You had a few good news, and I'd love for you to share all these news with everyone.
Sure. Yeah. So about a week and a half ago, we had a promotion video from the Cloud Tech Town Hall in Tallinn that came out that I'm in. Then a few days later, I did an interview for testpreptraining.com, which also went out. It's live. I did a user group session on Tuesday evening at midnight. On Wednesday, I was at Microsoft in Amsterdam doing a workshop all day. And on Wednesday, my company actually promoted me to Power Platform senior developer. Then on 6 p.m. on that same Wednesday, it got announced that I became a speaker in Vegas. So it was one thing after another. And that night I could not sleep. I was just awake, so excited. And then at 3:30 at night, I got an email saying I was nominated to be an MVP. So I could not sleep after that, and it was my birthday yesterday. So it was just one thing after another the whole week. It's been crazy. I still cannot believe everything that's happened. So I am really really humbled and excited and fortunate and happy and everything. So massive love.
Congratulations. Yeah, and
Absolutely, congratulations.
I have a friend who says that the funny thing about luck is the harder I work, the luckier I get, and you absolutely deserve everything that happens to you.
Thank you
Congratulations.
so much.
Now, in terms of the announcement with the conference, there was a little bit of a funny story there, right? I believe you had to kind of come to a screeching halt
Screeching
because
halt.
you were driving.
I was driving back from the Microsoft office, and I was kind of carefully looking at my phone because I knew at 6 p.m. the announcements would go out. And I saw a Twitter message from Lindsay Shelton pinging me like, "Hey, did you just get an email from the Power Platform conference?" I'm like, wait a minute. So I took a very quick peek because of course it's illegal to do anything with your
Yes.
phone in the car, but I took a really quick peek and I was like, oh my god, it's there. And I was like, okay, there, I think there's a gas station about 1 kilometer away, but I was stuck in traffic, so I had to wait for 15 minutes to pull over. And I pulled over and just started screaming like, oh my god, it's happening.
That's awesome. Well, we're glad you're safe too. And I'm sure
Yes.
when you said you looked at your phone, you meant you used voice recognition to talk to it and keeping your hands on the wheel, right? Of
That as
course,
well, of
there's
course, of
safety.
course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Natalie, for joining us today. We really appreciate you spending some time with us where we can get to know you and the rest of the community can get to know you as well. We appreciate your time.
Looking forward to it. Thanks everybody.
Bye. Thanks for coming.
All right, everybody. Now we're going to take a look at all the amazing blogs and articles that you've shared with us over the last week using the hashtag Power Platform Connects. We'll talk more about how you can get your blogs and articles covered at the end of this segment. Hugo, we got a few to cover this week, right?
That's right. And we only have a few, which is going to make our video guy really happy. But we only have 3 blog posts to cover this week. So the first one is by Victor Dantas, who talks about this is a Zero to Hero post. Again, Zero to Hero is a fantastic initiative where we celebrate and help people go really from zero experience in the Power Platform to hero. And here we're talking about how the Power Platform makes its way into professional soccer in Brazil. So this is a story of Rafael Pinto, who's a physiotherapist who's discovered the Power Platform and started using it and really went from zero to hero. It's a great story. And David, I think this is something that you'll appreciate because it's a story that relates to sports. So, this is where Michael Jordan, I guess, was involved.
Yeah, because he was the famous soccer player, I think, right, Hugo? No, Hugo loves sports. He knows all about it. No, it's soccer's, we're the international sport. Everybody kicks the ball around into the goal. So we'll get you there at some point, Hugo. We'll get you there at some point.
I'm sure. All right, our next article is by Matthew Devaney, who is a fellow Canadian, and he's talking about 7 mistakes to avoid when creating a Power Platform environment. So he talks about all the various things, like, for example, how to choose the right environment, picking the right region, the environment type, forgetting to enter an environment URL, failing to apply a security group, missing security roles, assigning to users, neglecting the setup of data policies, which are extremely important, by the way, and delaying applying licenses.
And Hugo, as you're covering all those things, neglecting the setup of data policies, the other thing that you don't want to neglect is forgetting to apply licenses, right? Because developers and end users alike can't use premium apps, flows, or other services without Power Platform licensing. So when we think about per app and per flow licensing must be added to the environment as an add-on within the capacity menu. The same goes for AI Builder credits and Power Pages capacity. So per user licenses are assigned to a user account. And do not need to be assigned to each environment created. So good information to keep in mind.
Absolutely. And for more information on licensing, please reach out to David. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. All right.
You didn't say which David.
Our last article for this week is some very exciting news that came out just this morning as we recorded this. So it's your ability to build solutions faster with Microsoft Power Platform and the next generation AI. It's very exciting because it means that we can actually really leverage AI. And AI has been around in the Power Platform. I think AI Builder was announced 4 years ago as the first really AI capability in Microsoft Power Platform. And then we followed that with Power Apps Ideas, which was about 18 months ago. And this was something that allowed you to actually look at ideas on how to build the application more quickly. But now with Power Virtual Agent, we have Conversation Booster. And this is something that allows you to simply point your bot to your company-specific resources, like your website or internal knowledge base. And you can watch it start to answer questions in minutes, really right out of the box without any additional authoring. The other announcement that was really exciting today was the ability to create text with GPT model in AI Builder. So you can now bring the Azure OpenAI service to the user-friendly interface that we have, and that will allow makers to help build new low-code generative AI models and templates really from within Microsoft Power Automate and Power Apps. Very exciting. I can't wait to see what's next with all these cool functionalities.
So yeah, I mean, it's important to think about that. Microsoft's committed to creating responsible AI by design, right? So when you think about Microsoft as a whole, it's guided by some core principles: fairness and reliability, safety, privacy, security, inclusiveness, transparency, and accountability. Oh my, right? So there's a lot to keep in mind there. You think about these new services we provide our customers with information about the intended uses and capabilities and limitations so that we ensure that everyone has the knowledge necessary for the deployment choices, because there are a lot, right? So there's a lot of things to keep track of. So really, really exciting stuff where we are right now. All right, everybody. Well, that's it. Thank you for tuning in this week. Now, if you want your blog, article, or video to be featured on Power Platform Connections, just use that hashtag. Which hashtag? Power Platform Connects. And you will be featured. Do that on Twitter, do that on LinkedIn, send us a little carrier pigeon, write it in the sky, whatever you're comfortable with, just be sure to share it with us. Thank you all for tuning in today. Hugo, any parting words?
Bye.
See ya. Thank you all. Where'd he go?
Hey,
You're moving around.
high five.
Ow! Freaking elbow.
I didn't realize you were going to send it back to me. David, I wanted to talk about Power.
Yeah, she's very floofy.
descriptive.
Do you squeeze her and say, "It's so floofy"? Go back. Mention it again.
Azure OpenAI service to the user use, and I said it wrong.
It's one of those days, man.
I know.